The Crucial Ballistix DDR4 is part of the new series of DDR4 memory from Crucial, a series that is essentially both redesigned and also having a naming scheme that is meant to be easier to understand and recognize. The Ballistix we have in this review are part of the mainstream segment of the product range and are available in 3 different colors: black, red and white, all matte finishes. The packaging offers decent protection for the memory kit. There is a layer of hard cardboard on the outside, while the 2 RAM sticks are held in place by a hard, clear plastic clamshell tray. This is the standard packaging method for most RAM kits available on the market regardless of the manufacturer. Mind you, a RAM kit is the least component in your computer that you would expect to be damaged in shipping anyway. The build quality of the anodized aluminum heat spreader is great, with no marks left from the manufacturing process and no uneven placed stickers or logos. Speaking of logos, there isn't much going on in terms of graphics, thankfully. Apart from the Crucial by Micron and the Ballistix logos, there is nothing applied on the bare metal apart from the beautiful anodized paint. The label, which contains the technical information of the RAM kit, is using white writing on black background to blend better with the whole design of the heatsink. However, it could have been bigger as it can be tricky to read at first glance. The kit we have here in this review is running at 32,000 MHz at CL16 with the timings 16, 18, 18, 36. It also has a total capacity of 32 GB of memory, so that means you get 2 16 GB memory sticks in the package. Removing the heatsink is pretty simple, as both sides are attached to the memory chips by some self-adhesive thermal pads. Once removed, we get to see the memory chips, which are placed on both sides of the PCB. These memory chips have the serial number C9BJZ. A quick search reveals that the memory chips using this model number are E-die and are also highly regarded for stable and good overclocking. With the RAM installed, the first boot of the system goes straight into the BIOS, and the memory kit is running at the lowest speed possible on DDR4, which is 2133 MHz. This is normal with all memory kits, and to get the full speed advertised, what you need to do is activate the Intel XMP profile that is found within the RAM settings. All testing is done using the same Intel platform, featuring the Intel i9-9900K CPU running at the factory profile and settings, paired with an MSI RTX 2070 Super Gaming X Trio graphics cards, and of course a platinum rated Seasonic power supply. The testing begins with a game, obviously. The Shadow of the Tomb Raider running at 1080p with the Alta preset enabled, with pure hair set to low and vertical synchronization disabled. And this memory kit reached an average frame rate of 129 frames per second, with the low 1% at 95 frames per second and the 0.1% at 92 frames per second. Not a bad performance, and it is exactly where it would be given the timings and the rated frequency. Overclocking is fairly simple, and given the memory chips used with this kit, I had some expectations. Unfortunately, they were not disappointing. From the factory frequency of 3200 MHz, I was able to overclock the RAM kit to 3600 MHz without changing any of the timings or the voltage. This bump in frequency results in an overall performance gain of around 4 frames per second across the entire board. This is pretty normal, as to gain more performance, especially in games, you not only need to increase the frequency but also try to lower the timings at the same time. The second test involves the benchmark Cinebench R15, and in this test the memory kit reached a CPU score of 2080 and an OpenGL score of 194. This benchmark is fairly simple and easy to understand. The CPU score is affected based on not only the frequency of the RAM kit but also thanks to the timings. The final test features the IDA 64 Extreme Memory benchmark. In this test, the Ballistix RAM kit completely overtook everything I have ever tested, mainly thanks to the higher frequency and the timings chosen from the factory. The biggest leap in performance between this RAM kit and the others is in the write category, where there is an almost 12% difference. And the same can be said for the latency, with 1 nanosecond difference between the Ballistix 32GB kit and the good RAM 16GB kit. The Crucial Ballistix Gaming DDR4-3200 MHz 32GB CL16 has a price of around $200 or euros. Obviously, this price is not set in stone, especially in this current situation. However, it does place this RAM kit in particular on the affordable side of the market, especially for this speed and capacity. The design is nice and the matte finish found on all versions of this kit will match with any motherboard available today. Yes, it does not have any RGB LEDs because there is still a market for this, as in having your money spent on performance instead of pretty LEDs. And these RAM sticks really do look good, even in black. They offer a subtle blend to that area of the motherboard. The build quality is great and so is the clearance. With a height of approximately 40mm, these RAM modules are not exactly tall and will work with most Air CPU coolers. The only thing left for you is to decide which variant of these new Ballistix mainstream kits to get, which color and what capacity and frequency, because everything mentioned apart from the color has an effect on the total price of the RAM kit. If you like this review, then you can perhaps consider subscribing for more, and also if you want to support this channel directly, in the description below you will find both the Patreon and subscriber star pages of this channel.